No DQ Galaxy, we are live with a recap of WWE Clash at the Castle 2024. Shout out to everybody watching this, whether it's live or on demand. I very much appreciate your viewership and support. It's 5 o'clock Eastern. I'm loving this time. I very much enjoy these afternoon WWE Premium Live events. What a crowd! Glasgow, Scotland, they were red hot for this show. They were into it. They were chanting all night long. Only 5 matches on the card, but the Premium Live event went about 3 hours. Let's discuss everything that happened on this show as things start to heat up for the summer. Chat room, leave your thoughts as we go through match by match. Leave your comments, and I will put some of them on the screen as we go through this recap. Our first match was for the WWE Championship. AJ Styles challenging Cody Rhodes for the WWE title in an I Quit match. This was the Brock Lesnar thought process. If you're not the main event, you might as well open up the show. Start strong, end strong. And that's what we got here. Cody Rhodes' mom was at ringside, which pretty much guaranteed she was going to be involved in the match. Cody and AJ, of course, brawled all over the place. The crowd was singing Cody's song. They even sang his song after it stopped playing. They fought in the backstage area. I think we got a quick glimpse of Triple H at one point. They fought back out to the ringside area. Crowd was chanting, "F you, AJ." Since this is a premium live event, you can get away with that, I suppose. Styles was taunting Cody's mom at ringside, and Cody got sent into the ring bell, I believe. He was busted open. We got blood on this show. Styles continued to work over Cody, and Styles attempted to give Cody a Styles clash on the steel steps, but Cody gave him a back body drop instead. Then Styles regained the upper hand, and he used various weapons. He had a kendo stick. He used a belt. Then he grabbed a chain, and he had some handcuffs. He handcuffed Cody and just beat the crap out of him with a kendo stick. Cody would not give up. Then AJ made the mistake of getting a little bit too arrogant. He went back outside, taunted Cody's mom again. Cody's mom slapped him multiple times. Cody managed to somehow get control of his hands despite being handcuffed, and AJ wrapped the chain around his arm, went for the phenomenal forearm, but Cody threw the chair in AJ's face. AJ fell off the top rope, fell to the outside through a table, and Cody was able to unlock the cuffs. Really, AJ should have thrown those cuffs away, threw them in the crowd or something. I don't know. But Cody did escape, and then Cody hit the crossroads multiple times. Third one was on a steel chair. Then they asked if Styles was going to quit. The referee came in. Styles said, "Screw you, Cody Rhodes." So then Cody handcuffed AJ and then grabbed the steel steps, was going to use the steps. AJ then quit. The steps was just too much, so he gave up. Cody Rhodes officially retains the WWE title. No surprise here. But then Cody looked over at his mom, and sure enough, he decided to hit AJ with the steps anyways. Then Cody celebrated, and as Cody was heading to the back, he got jumped by the Bloodline. The Bloodline attacked him, but then, fortunately for Cody, He has some friends. Randy Orton and Kevin Owens made the save. Looks like we're going to get a 6-man tag team match coming up at some point. Don't know if it's going to be on SmackDown or they're going to save it for Money in the Bank, but this definitely looks to be setting up for a 6-man in the near future. So all in all, I think it was a great match. Was it the best I Quit match I've ever seen? No. But it was a really strong opening match. I mean, as far as opening matches go on premium live events, it's definitely up there among the better opening matches on a WWE premium live event. You know, it could have been the main event of the show. It was definitely a very fun match, well-worked match, entertaining. I liked it a lot. I thought it was great. It was a really strong match to open up the show. Yes, it was predictable. I mean, obviously, AJ's not winning the title. Maybe they could have done something a little bit more than the steel steps at the end. But I did enjoy the match very much. Shout out to Caleb Jacobs, who sent in a $2.60 super chat. I appreciated Caleb. Here's Caleb's take on it. He loved the show, and he said that the I Quit match was so brutal. It was brutal by WWE standards, like not at the level of AEW. AEW has gone so over the top with the violence that, you know, you watch these matches and yeah, you cannot compare them to an AEW I Quit match or a hardcore match in AEW because they will just do the most gruesome stuff. But for a WWE match, yeah, this was definitely more brutal than usual. Next up, we had a 3-way match for the WWE Women's Tag Team titles. Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair defending against Shayna Baszler and Zoey Stark and Scotland's own Alba Fyre and Isla Dawn. Now, when this match was announced as a triple threat, I'm like, okay, WWE's given Alba Fyre and Isla Dawn a spot on the premium live event so they can perform in Scotland, but they're clearly not winning. Well, let's talk about this. It was a pretty solid match. They did get a lot of time, but I think it was a bit sloppy, and Jade in particular did seem to struggle a little bit when she came in for the hot tag. She was trying to move fast and do the big hot tag and do all the moves, but she went up on the top rope and slipped at one point. It was a match where you had 3 women in the ring at once, and then they would tag out, and each team had their time with the offense, but then Jade came in, and it got a bit sloppy towards the end. Then Shayna Baszler put on the Kirifuda clutch to Jade. And what was really interesting here now, like, I don't even know, was this a botch or was it done on purpose? Was Jade being legitimately choked out and she was trying to give a cue to Shayna Baszler? I don't know what was the deal with this, but Jade was tapping out to the Kirifuda clutch. Really weird to me if this was done intentionally. The referee didn't see it. So I thought, well, maybe this was a way to make Shayna look strong in defeat, like she had the win. But why would they do this with Jade? Just very weird to me, this whole sequence here. Then Jade and Bianca picked up the win, or no, they did not pick up the win. They picked up the momentum, and they hit their finisher. But then, just as they were going for the win, they took out Shayna with their move. But then Isla Dawn got Jade out of the ring and pinned Shayna, stealing the victory to become the new tag team champion. So Isla Dawn and Alba Fyre actually got the win in Scotland. New tag team champions. I was very surprised. Like, they went for the big feel-good moment here, and unfortunately, there was a tragedy in real life with Isla Dawn's mother, I believe. So, you know, they gave them the feel-good moment, and it was nice. You know, in typical WWE fashion, the hometown heroes tend to lose, but not this time. They got the win. I wish they would have been pushed stronger. There's two issues I had. Like, number one, I think that they should have been pushed more heading into this match. And number two, the other issue is the hot potatoing of the title. We've gone back and forth, and I said this on my streams over the past few weeks. Jade and Bianca needed to have a long reign to really get the titles established as something important rather than just having a new champion every 2 months. I mean, that's basically what's happening here. The titles are getting hot potatoed. I'm happy for Alba, Fyre, and Isla Dawn, but I mean, I don't see them being booked well. I think they're probably going to lose the titles in another 2 months. I mean, that's how it's been going. They got their flowers at the end, which was really cool. It was a very awesome moment for them, and they were hugging family. Alba Fyre was in tears. I think both of them were. Like, it was great for the moment, but I just feel like this wasn't very well thought out in advance, you know, with all the constant title changes and not pushing these two. You know, when was Clash at the Castle first announced? I'm trying to think. If anybody knows off the top of their head, let me know in the chat room. But I feel like as soon as they knew, okay, we're going to Scotland for this show, let's start building up this tag team that's from Scotland and push them really strong so they're serious contenders. Same thing with Piper Niven, for that matter. Like Ty Marshall said last year. I mean, it's definitely been several months. And, you know, if you're booking that far in advance, you know, push these people, you know, give them the spotlight and make them credible, because then it just waters down the titles when a team that is barely used just randomly wins the title. Like, I don't feel like it does the titles any favors. But I was happy for them. Shout out to Maddie, who sent in a $2 super chat talking about the I Quit match. Would you put this over The Rock and Mankind? Well, that was from the 1999 Royal Rumble, and to me, they're very different matches. The Rock and Mankind, it's hard for me to compare that to anything. I was entertained with it at the time, but knowing what it did to Mick Foley, all the chair shots to the head, like, I just don't really want to go back and watch that match knowing the real life punishment that Mick Foley was taking with those chair shots to the head. Like, it's uncomfortable to watch. So I guess I would put this one over that one. I mean, I get what they were going for back then. But yeah, that match was like legitimately brutal. And to be honest, I'm not entertained when I know people are really getting hurt. So, you know, that match, very hard for me to go back and watch it. It really doesn't have any replay value for me. Shout out to Hamp Connell, who sent in a $9.99 super chat. I appreciate it. A little history lesson for everybody. 2009, Vince McMahon announced that he sold Monday Night Raw to billionaire icon Donald Trump. He would buy it back a week later after WWE stock fell 73 cents the week prior. I remember that, and yeah, there was a significant amount of people that thought Trump really bought WWE, and people were freaking out. And WWE very quickly reversed the storyline. Like, they didn't even let it play out. Like, they were like, okay, people are not happy with this, so they changed plans. That was crazy. Like, they could have done something with that. Like, if they gave that a good 6 months, that could have been really interesting. But yeah, they just quickly gave up on it. Maybe Trump had no legitimate interest in doing any kind of a long-term storyline. So the tag match was okay, but I definitely have mixed feelings on how everything played out. And clearly Jade, like, she's great, awesome personality, but I mean, clearly she was a little bit over her head in this one. So, you know, hopefully with time she'll continue to get better in the ring. Like, I feel that it's too soon to break them up as a team. Like, being in a tag team also allows Bianca to carry things a little bit. So we'll see what happens if this is going to lead to a breakup, or are they going to win the titles back like literally next week? Would not shock me if we got the titles going back to Jade and Bianca right away. I don't think this opening match with Cody was actually better than Cena and JBL. Like, that was a great I Quit match. That was one of the best in WWE history. You know, I'm not the biggest JBL fan for anybody that is new to the channel, but that match they had after WrestleMania, that should have been the WrestleMania match. Like, that was infinitely better than their WrestleMania match. Shout out to Gareth Smith, who sent in a £10 or €10 super chat. I'm always confused by the symbols, but thank you for that. I appreciate it very much. Says, mate, I was here live both nights, had a fantastic time, just got back into the hotel. I wasn't expecting that outcome at the end. Overall, it was a great weekend for me. Tonight's crowd was insane. Absolutely. This crowd was way up there as far as great crowds go. It's pounds, by the way, not euros. I always get the symbols confused, and even with glasses, things are a little hard to read on the screen sometimes. I've seen different comments. Some people say they hated the ending of the show, which we will get to in a few moments, but overall, it seemed like there was a lot of positive atmosphere for this show. Next up, we had Sami Zayn defending the Intercontinental title against Chad Gable. This was one of those matches where I was very torn as to who was going to win. Obviously, Otis was going to be involved in some fashion. Now, when Maxine Dupree was out there and she had her foot in the boot, I was like, okay. I thought it was just Otis that was going to be out there. Made me think that Maxine was going to somehow be a factor in this match. Blair, Uncle Howdy is coming on Monday, most likely. They did another strong tease on this show, by the way. It might have been during Sammy's entrance. I forgot whose entrance it was, but when somebody came out, we got another QR code, and they're essentially teasing that it's going to happen in Corpus Christi, Texas on Raw. So we'll see. Corpus Christi, follow what we had on this premium live event as far as card reactions go. But yeah, Sami Zayn and Chad Gable, really good match. I thought they had a great match, as you would expect with these guys. Sami Zayn getting all the love. They were singing, chanting for him. Gable had to regroup on the outside, and he was talking with Alpha Academy, and then Zayn was talking to them, trying to talk them out of helping Gable. Very back and forth, competitive match. Gable would get the upper hand, then Zayn would. They did these German suplex exchanges, and Gable put on the ankle lock. Zayn was able to counter out of that, and at this point, Gable was feeling desperate, so he went to his plan B. He went to the outside of the ring, and he grabbed the Intercontinental title. He handed it to Maxine. He wanted Maxine to use it while Gable distracted the referee. Maxine refused. Gable was pissed. He yelled at her. So then Zayn went for a haluva kick to Gable, missed, almost hit Maxine. Gable took advantage, hit the Chaos Theory, but Zayn kicked out. Gable regained the upper hand, yelled at Maxine. Then Otis got in Gable's face, so things started to get heated between Otis and Gable. Then Zayn came out there, and Gable put the ankle lock on Zayn on the floor. Zayn powered out. Gable got knocked into Maxine, into her injured foot, so she was hurting even more than she already was. Then Otis was going to seemingly help Gable win the title. He was going to take out Zayn, but he looked over at Maxine. And Michael Wayne brought up how it was very similar to Hulk Hogan and Miss Elizabeth in 1989 with the Randy Savage storyline. Very true. Otis ended up picking up Maxine and carried her to the back. And, we also think of the Mandy Rose Otis stuff. But yeah, this was very similar to the angle with Hulk Hogan, Randy Savage, and Elizabeth on the main event in early 1989. So they left. Gable was distracted. So he took his eye off Zayn. Zayn took advantage, hit the haluva kick in the ring, and 1, 2, 3 picked up the victory. Gable loses again. I got to see how this plays out. I have mixed feelings. Like, I really feel like this was the time to either pull the trigger on the Gable win or have the Otis turn, but they did neither. Zayn won, and we have to wait a little bit longer to see the split between Gable and Otis. I mean, they could do it as soon as Monday, but part of me thought, like, they should really do this on a premium live event, not Raw in Corpus Christi. But, we have to see the timeline and what they have planned, and maybe Corpus Christi will be red hot if that's when they plan on doing the split. But you have to think that the split is coming very soon. We've had the teases with the Creed brothers, and then Gable was talking to Ivy Nile in the background. So we're probably going to have a reunion with the Creed brothers, Ivy Nile, and Chad Gable all together as a group. But match was great, and I'm not going to judge the finish too harshly because I need to see what the follow-up is. It's just odd to see Gable lose yet again. I mean, I presume he's not going for the IC title anymore at this point. Maybe Braun Breaker is going to go after Sami Zayn, and maybe we get Otis versus Chad Gable at SummerSlam or something like that. I mean, here's a good idea. Maybe they do the split at Money in the Bank in Toronto, and then it's Otis versus Gable at SummerSlam. But yeah, I feel bad for Gable. Another loss. And he apparently, he said it himself that he signed a new contract. Shout out to Maddie, who sent in a $2 super chat. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. Says, this shit pissed me off. Gable is so talented. I just need to see where this plays out. Like, I think Gable is going to do well in the future. Like, once he gets with the Creeds and Ivy Nile, like, this is going to be a whole new beginning for him. I'm not necessarily worried about him. I'm just a little surprised. All these matches, he doesn't get the job done. You really gotta take him in a whole new direction with the Creed brothers. Like, they can get to a new level with Gable. I still think it's possible. So, again, got to see how this one plays out. And Mr. Anderson, I'll get to your super chat here in just a few moments. The This Guy Experience sent in a $2 super chat. Thank you for that. Says, first I was mad at Gable's loss, but Drew taking a loss, I get it. Well, we'll get to that here in just a few moments. Thank you for that, the This Guy Experience. Let's get to the main event. Oh, wait, no, not yet. I forgot. We still have Bayley versus Piper Niven. It was a good match, but again, I wish that Piper had been built up more before this. Like, it just kind of felt thrown together last minute. Oh, Piper's from Scotland, so let's throw her in there as a challenger for Bayley. They did a pretty good job, but it wasn't like a classic or anything. It was a solid match. You had Chelsea Green out there. She was interfering. Referee kicked her out, and then she returned later wearing a lucha mask. So we got the whole joke that she was allegedly a different person. And that did help out because Piper was able to kick out of an avalanche Bayley to belly, and then Bayley went for the Rose plant. Piper countered that, took her down with a Piper driver. Bayley kicked out of that, and then they were on the outside. Piper gave Bayley a boss man slam on the floor, got her back in the ring, tried to finish off Bayley, but then Bayley used Piper's momentum against her with a crucifix driver, and Bayley got the 1-2-3 victory. No surprise here. Crowd was respectful, though. They did give Piper a standing ovation, and they loved Bayley. Like, it wasn't like they were booing Bayley. They were singing the Hey Bayley song. Like, they were into her. Solid match. I mean, I enjoyed it, but again, this could have been better if they had actually built up Piper like a good 3-4 months, like having her win squash matches and, setting her up as a real serious threat to the championship. And yeah, I'm not a big fan of Piper's theme. It's a terrible theme song. I'm 100% on that comment. All right, so now let's get to the main event because I know everybody's got an opinion on this one. Chat room, let me have it. I want to know your thoughts, your strong, bold opinion on the finish of this match. Do you think it was good? Do you think it was bad? Where do you see this all going? Was it logical? Let's talk about it. So McIntyre got a big entrance. He had the bagpipe ensemble playing Scotland the Brave. I always think of Roddy Piper when you hear the bagpipes playing this song. They were chanting and singing "Oh, Drew McIntyre" to the tune of Seven Nation Army. We had that little graphic, the DBA noise. So they were hot for McIntyre, as you would expect, and they were booing Priest. They were popping for the match, though. They erupted when the bell rang, and McIntyre got the early momentum. Priest had to slip to the outside to regroup, and then Priest went for a dive over the top rope to the outside. His foot got caught in the ropes, the top and middle rope. So Priest got stuck, and the referee was trying to get him out. The referee could not do it. So McIntyre looked over and he took advantage. And if this was improv on McIntyre's part, great job. He started punching and kicking at Priest, and then he did help Priest out of the predicament. Priest was selling the leg for pretty much the entire match. So I'm not sure what's going on with him. Apparently he did get hurt. And on the press conference, which is going on right now, but some of you are watching this, so I appreciate that. Apparently he said he's going to have it checked out, and, hopefully he's going to be okay from that. He was selling, but they continued, and they had a pretty damn good match. So if Priest was hurt, he soldiered through, and, he did a really good job here. They went back and forth. And McIntyre actually went for a Claymore. Priest rolled to the outside. McIntyre then gave Priest a Claymore through the barricade, got Priest back in the ring. Priest avoided another Claymore, and Priest hit the South of Heaven chokeslam. McIntyre kicked out of it. Crowd was chanting, "This is awesome." And then Priest hit a Hurricane Rana off the top rope. Tried to go for another move, but then McIntyre with a Claymore out of nowhere went for the cover. Everybody thought this was the finish, but nope. Priest kicked out of the Claymore. And then they continued. Referee got inadvertently knocked off the apron. He fell to the floor, so we had no referee for this. And then McIntyre hit the Claymore again, went for the cover, no referee. Then we see a second referee running down, and we don't get a look at this referee's face. The referee runs down 1, 2, and then stops the count. And then the camera cuts. We see his face. It's CM Punk. CM Punk pulling a Shane McMahon on Drew McIntyre. So Drew McIntyre obviously pissed. Corners Punk. Punk ends up kicking McIntyre low. Leaves the ring. Priest gets up. hits the South of Heaven chokeslam again. And this time the referee, the original referee, gets back in the ring. 1, 2, 3. Still your World Heavyweight Champion, Damian Priest. Drew McIntyre gets screwed again at Clash at the Castle. I didn't think they were going to do it again. But here's my thought process on this. So WWE may have booked themselves into a corner a little bit. Gunther won, right? He won King of the Ring, which guarantees him a SummerSlam title match. So yeah, that could be Drew McIntyre defending against Gunther. The problem with this, CM Punk. Now, of course, we're wondering, is CM Punk going to be ready in time for SummerSlam? And, that's a big question mark. I think he's coming back for SummerSlam. I mean, that's the only way this finish makes sense. CM Punk recovering, best case scenario, ready for SummerSlam. And, that's the match for McIntyre. That's the match people want to see at SummerSlam. As great as McIntyre versus Gunther would be, we've seen it. We've been waiting and waiting for CM Punk versus Drew McIntyre. So if that's what's going on here, Punk's ready to go, then I understand it. It's just so weird to me to see McIntyre screwed again after everything. Maybe that's why Alba, Fyre, and Isla Dawn won the titles. I did read some comments when they won the titles. People were like, well, maybe this means there's a better chance that we're going to have Priest retain the title, since at least the fans got one win for Scotland. So yeah, I was a little surprised. I mean, I figured there was a good chance of Punk getting involved, and I actually changed my prediction. At first, I was going to be like, no, they're not going to have him show up during the match, but he was obviously critical part of the match. And that was like 50-50 anyways, as far as was he going to be there or not. I always thought like, well, the whole deal with Judgment Day being barred from ringside, that screams, okay, well, nobody said anything about CM Punk. Oh, and that's the other thing too. The announcers, this is in regards to Chad Gable. They were making such a big deal. Chad Gable's never won a singles title, and he still hasn't. All right, so let's get to these super chats. It was a great main event. The finish is what it is. If it's Punk and McIntyre at SummerSlam, then I get it. But I almost like the idea of Punk helping Priest or helping McIntyre retain, so Punk could have held it over his head. I think that would have been a great idea, but obviously they kind of booked themselves into a corner with Gunther, and Punk and McIntyre should be the SummerSlam match. Mr. Anderson sent in a $2 super chat. Thank you for that, Mr. Anderson. Says, what did Drew do to Triple H to get screwed again? I mean, at the end of the day, you're building up heat for SummerSlam. That's going to be one of the main event matches at SummerSlam. And, Drew's a trooper. He's also got a situation with his wife, and best wishes to Drew McIntyre and his wife. His wife had emergency surgery. So, I mean, there were so many factors, and, I know people don't like to hear this, and I don't either. Like when you hear defenders of something say, you got to let it play out, see how it plays out. In this case, I think you do, and you do have to take a lot of different things into consideration with how they book things. Sometimes injuries happen, and sometimes there's real life emergencies, and there's lots of things to consider when you book these matches. Gareth Smith sent in a £5 super chat. Thank you for that, Gareth. I appreciate it. Comment here says, the crowd was definitely disappointed in the main event outcome. I can't believe they did it. I wonder if Punk versus Priest. I'm intrigued by the outcome. I don't know if Punk's going to wrestle before then. Like, even SummerSlam seems early. Like, I was very much uncertain about Punk and his status for SummerSlam just based off of his last injury in AEW, where he was gone for, I think, about 8 months. And Royal Rumble to the beginning of August is a bit shorter. Well, yeah, what, 6, 7 months, something like that. But apparently Punk has recovered fairly well. All the reports I'm hearing is that he's been doing well with his rehab. So Punk and Priest, I mean, I don't think that's going to happen. And really, Punk and McIntyre doesn't need to be for a title. You might as well keep pushing Priest until SummerSlam, and that's when Gunther inevitably beats him and goes on to Bash in Berlin. Maybe Priest even beats Gunther like in a fluke, and then they have to do a rematch at Bash in Berlin where Gunther wins the title. So we'll see what happens with that. Shout out to Walter Cruz. Walter sent in a $5 super chat. Thank you, Walter. I appreciate it. Says, Scotland left with 14,000 broken hearts, and Drew McIntyre left with a broken dream. Courtesy of CM Punk, this feud will be epic. Well, there you go. There's an optimistic viewpoint on the show. I feel bad for the Scottish fans, though. Like, they get let down again. And some of those fans, from what I heard, paid a pretty penny for that show. They opened up their wallets. WWE was not charging cheap prices for tickets. And we'll see. I mean, WWE is doing great business. And Walter sent in another $5 super chat. Thank you, Walter. Just a note from the press conference. Oh, no, that was a different comment. But here, Punk said he has a big announcement on Friday on SmackDown, assuming he will announce that he is medically cleared. Yeah, we'll see. I mean, that would be amazing. If Punk is ready to go now, like that's very quick turnaround from when he got injured, which was the end of January. But yeah, I don't know if they're going to risk having him wrestle. I mean, maybe it would be good for him to wrestle and work off ring rust. Maybe the problem was that he only had those 2 matches before the Rumble. Maybe Punk needed like a dozen matches on the road before actually doing a big match at the Royal Rumble, where he's in there in a high pressure match for 20 minutes. Yeah, we'll see what happens with Punk. Shout out to Building Nexus, who sent in a $2 super chat. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. It says, do you think Drew snaps on Raw? Well, the thing is, depending on what's going on with Drew's wife, like, he might take Raw off. I mean, I don't know that for a fact. I mean, all we know is his wife had emergency surgery, and now that he lost, like, I feel like he could take a week off, let him be with his wife, and then when she's on the mend, he can come back. He doesn't need to necessarily be on Raw. If he's not on Raw, I feel like that definitely means he's just taking time off to be with his wife, and really he should be doing that anyways. They don't need to do the angle on Raw. Let it play out for a little bit, especially if Punk is making his announcement on SmackDown. You can hold off on it until then. Shout out to Maddie, who sent in a $2 super chat. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. It says, fans were soft for not rioting, shaking my head at Drew losing. Yeah, not only that, but when Punk was out there after the match, he was celebrating at ringside, and there were fans actually cheering with him. So it just goes to show, like, the fans get angry, but nobody littered the ring. It wasn't a riot situation. Some people were actually cheering it. They like Punk too. He didn't get nearly as booed as I thought he would be. I thought he would be booed out of the building, but yeah, no crazy stuff. And fans always say that if Cena wins, we riot. If McIntyre loses, we can't even say it. If McIntyre loses, we riot, and it never happens. It's just a figure of speech. All right, so yeah. Apparently, Triple H said during the press conference they broke a new record for arena attendance, the gate specifically, not the attendance, but the actual gate, the money they made, breaking the number in Backlash. I mean, the ticket prices sounded insane, and they didn't even sell it out right away because the prices were so much. And this is, just a standard size arena. But as long as they keep getting the business, they're going to do what they're going to do. All right, guys. So thank you for tuning in. I think it was a very good pay-per-view. I give it a B+. I enjoyed it. I love the early afternoon shows, or mid-afternoon, mid to late afternoon shows. Very enjoyable. The booking decisions, I do understand the criticism, and we'll have to see how things play out. I mean, this is one of those shows where, depending on the follow-up, I may look at the finishes at a higher level or lower level, depending on how things go. But I really got to see what's next, because the finishes were definitely controversial. The Chad Gable one and the main event. People some are loving it, some are not so happy about it. And it depends on what the follow-up is, and we'll see if it all makes sense in the end. So thank you guys again. Shout out to the This Guy Experience. Says, can I get a shout out for my first week as a married man? Well, my sympathies to you. No, kidding. Obviously kidding. Congratulations on your marriage, and hope you have a life of happiness with your partner and your spouse. Great having you on, and when you're in the chat room and on the panels. Much love to you, the This Guy Experience. Much love to everybody for tuning in, whether it's live or on demand. If you enjoyed the video, I just ask, please give a thumbs up on YouTube. Just click that button, thumbs up. Helps out the channel in a big way. And leave a comment on YouTube, your favorite moment from the show. Let me know your thoughts. Take care, everybody. Have a great rest of your weekend. And stay tuned to NoDQ.com. for all the latest news and rumors. Say yes to No DQ, and I will see you all next time.